Hi, and welcome to your mobility class for today. We're going to be working a lot into the back body. So if you feel very stiff or the back of your legs are quite tight, this is going to be a really great class for you. But keep in mind, it does have some challenging portions. So go at your speed and your limits, and you know your body better than anyone else. I'll offer many suggestions, variations for each posture, and we'll just go ahead and get right into it. But I want to mention that we want to have a couple of yoga blocks, and then also a yoga strap will be very handy for today's class. We'll get started just finding a cross-legged seat. Go ahead and just cross the left shin in front of the right. We're just going to give the body a moment to ease in and open up the lower joints. Maybe give the lower back a little bit more space, and we'll start to fold over the front of those legs. Now the forearms can come all the way down onto the floor, or you can have them up onto blocks as well. And we'll just pause here. Just taking these first couple minutes to come into our breath and bring that awareness into the body. Think of keeping the hips heavy and the sit bones connected to the mat so that we're not just rounding everything coming forward. And you can allow the back of the neck to start to release and the head to feel nice and heavy. Allow the gravity just to soften everything down towards the floor. And now keeping the lower body and everything the way it is, we're just going to take a chin tuck. So we're going to start to pull the chin in towards the chest. You're going to feel the back of the neck start to stretch a little bit more into the top of the shoulders, the sides of the neck. Pull the neck or the chin into the chest until you are gazing back towards your navel. And then go ahead and start to lift the chin. You can start to lift the head up. Eyes can be open or shut, however you feel comfortable. And we're going to take that chin tuck again. Just waking up the back of the spine, gliding the nerves along the back side of the body. Lift the head up, moving slowly, nodding the head yes, but a very slow yes as we take the gaze back. Movement only coming from the neck. This next one, as we lift, you can push your hands into the floor, into your blocks, and rise up. And then we'll switch out the cross of the legs, bring the right shin in front. We'll take that on the opposite side now so that the right hip gets a little bit more open, and then just forward fold down to whatever level feels nice for you. Again, forearms can come to blocks as I'm demonstrating, or you can also bring the forearms all the way down to the floor if you're feeling pretty loose and open. And we'll pause here, just finding the initial fold. Again, remember to keep the hips heavy and connected back and behind you. But let the head grow a little bit more heavy, lengthening into the back of the neck. And once more, we'll take those chin tucks. So draw the chin in towards the chest. And then go ahead and bring the gaze up, eyes open or shut. Just taking your time to feel through this movement as you tuck the chin. You can pause if you feel like it feels like a good stretch, or just move slowly as you nod your head up and down. And finally, as you start to lift the head, you can press the hands down into your blocks or into your surface in front of you and come back up to a seated position. Let's set the blocks over to the side for now. Just keep them within reach. And we're going to come into a seated position, opening the feet up nice and wide, sitting nice and tall. Hands can be down by the side if you need a little bit of support. But if you want to make this more active, try to have the hands up in front of you, maybe clasping the fingers, but trying to use as little of the upper body as possible. And we're going to do some active knee drops. We'll start to bring the knees over to the right. As you do so, the left hip and the left glute will lift up from your surface. And then we're going to move over to the left. As you move to the left, think about pulling the left hip and the left glute towards the back of the room. This will help prevent you from walking forward on your mat. And we'll drop the knees over to the left. We'll take that over to the right. Pull that right hip, pull the right hip or the glute back, and we're shift to the right. And then we'll do the same thing. Bring it over to the left. And then we'll bring it over to the right. Very good. Let's pause to the right, facing now the top edge of your mat. And we're in almost a 90-90 knee position here, deer pose. We're going to do some hip lifts. So I suggest drawing the right foot in a little closer to the body to make these easier. The further away it is from your body, it's going to be harder to lift yourself up off of the mat, and also might put a little more pressure into your right knee. So draw that right foot in. You can start there and adjust as needed. Now you can also use hands on our fingertips on the floor or onto blocks, but try to shift the weight forward, pressing into that right shin so you can drive yourself up, lift the hips up off of the mat, tuck the tailbone, and drive the hips forward. And from here, we're going to lower down, taking our time. Make sure you don't beat me as we lower down onto the floor. Softly lower with control for 1. And we're going to rise up, lifting the hips, tucking the tail, and then slowly lower down. Rise up for 3. Really press into the mat with the shin lifting up, and then lower down. Control that lower. Rise up, press the hips forward, drive them forward towards the front of the room, and then lower down. Rising up, and then slowly lower. We'll take one more on this side. Press down and lift, and then we'll lower down. Wonderful. We'll take those knee drops again. So we're going to bring that left knee, open it up, bring the left hip towards the back of the mat, and we'll drop everything to the left. Open up, knee drop to the right. Open up, shifting everything to the left. Use your hands if you need to, and then moving everything over to the right side. And then once more, we'll go to the left. We'll pause on the left side, and then we'll hang out here. We'll do our hip lifts, draw that left foot in a little bit closer, and then from here, fingertips to the mat, trying to use as little momentum as possible. We're going to shift the weight forward, press into the mat with our shins, drive the hips up, tuck the tailbone, give that a little feel with your hand, and then we'll slowly lower down. Moving with control, we'll rise up for 2. Slowly lower. Lifting up for 3. Can we lower very softly? Take your time. Rising up for 4. And we softly lower it back. We've got 2 more. Let's lift it up. Tucking the tailbone, driving the hips forward, and then we'll lower down. Last one, rise up. And then softly lower. Bring it all down to the mat. Very good. From here, we're going to come into a hamstring stretch, a supported hamstring stretch. So grab one of your yoga blocks. And we'll start in a kneeling posture. so that we're seated onto the heels. You can pad the bottoms of your feet with a blanket if that feels nice. But we're going to use this block, and we're going to scoot that right leg out from underneath us, extend it out long, and place the block underneath the right glute. So now my left foot is tucked, and I'm sitting directly onto that block, so my weight is fully supported. And from here, we're going to do some strengthening into the right quad and the right leg. And we're going to have our fingertips down by our side. Toes are flexed, and we'll lift for 1 and lower. Lift for 2 and down. Up for 3 and lower. Up for 4 and down. 5 and lower. 6, lower. 7, lower. Up for 8, and let's hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax the leg down. From here, we'll take a passive fold. So we'll keep the toes pointed up towards the ceiling, but we'll allow ourselves to round over the top of that right leg, getting a stretch into the back of the right calf, into the back of the right hamstring. At the same time, know that your left leg, it's not like it's doing nothing. It's there. It's supporting you. You're getting a stretch into the top of your left foot. Your knee is getting a stretch because it's fully bent in this position. So the entire lower body is getting a nice deep stretch here. And you should even feel this into the low back, getting a gentle opening into the back of the hips. Remember, you don't need to fully come all the way down over the top of the right leg. As soon as you get that point where you feel that you're getting a nice deep stretch, and you can tolerate and hold that stretch for several breaths, that's where you should pause. Coming any further, any deeper, you're probably pushing a little too hard, and your body isn't relaxing into it, and instead you're mentally fighting the posture. And you won't have as big of a gain as if you just pause to where you recognize your body needs to stop. Go ahead and rise up. We're going to shift that weight off of the right side so we can move the block out from underneath us, and we're going to go to the opposite side. So now we're going to take that left leg out, straight out in front of us, pop the block underneath the left glute. Make sure that you're fully supported, having that sit bone right on top of the block. And then from here, we'll move into those leg lifts again. So you can have your fingertips down beside you, feeling nice and tall, and we'll lift the left leg for 1 and down, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we'll hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and lower that left leg down. Now we'll find that stretch into the back of the left leg. Lowering down, rounding. Give yourself the freedom here to round into the back. Just being very passive. You can let the neck hang loose. Feel into your breath. Expand into the body with the inhale. Give yourself permission to release and sink a little deeper with every exhale. I quite like this supported hamstring stretch because we can really control how deep we go into it. It's a little harder in things like half splits because you have to support the weight of the upper body even more. This is a nice variation. And slowly start to walk it in, bring the hands in towards your body. We'll shift the weight off of the block and then bring everything down onto the mat. We're going to find a wide-legged straddle. So it doesn't need to be at your super widest straddle. Find something that you can hold for a little length of time. So we're going to be here doing some movements in our straddle. So I just ask that the legs are open, the toes are pointing up, and keep the knees pointing up and maybe even a little bit towards the back of the room. So we're rolling our upper thighs towards the back of the room. From here, we're going to find an active movement in our wide-legged straddle before we do some holds. And so we're going to find our good mornings. So in our good mornings, we want to have a nice flat back. We're not rounding this time. We want to think of keeping the heart center lifted and coming up maybe towards the top corner of the room. And the belly button, instead of folding forward, we're going to think of the belly button reaching up and forward, okay? Instead of folding down towards the mat, think about reaching up and forward towards the opposite wall. So be mindful, and then we're going to play with the arms. You can have the arms crossed. That'll be a little bit easier. A little more challenging will be having the arms up and behind the head. We're going to find our good mornings. Think about lifting nice and tall. Inhale. And then as we exhale, lower down. Once you feel like you're working and maybe you feel like the spine wants to round, let's pause right there. You'll push into the backs of the legs so you can rise up using the core a bit as well to lift up for 1. And we'll lower down and then rise up for 2, lowering down, lifting up for 3. We're going to go for 10. That's 4. Taking our time. 5. Really pressing into those legs so that they're still quite active. They're not just hanging out. That's 6. Lowering down. And up for 7. Lowering down. And up for 8. Down. And rise up for 9. Down. And up for 10. Very good. Now again, you can take that cross arm in front of you or hands behind your head, and we're going to take some lateral movement, still keeping the legs active. Try to keep them pressing into the mat, and we're going to side body lean to the right. Maybe touch the elbow towards the mat, hover, and then come back up to center and then over to the left. Be mindful so that we're not rounding forward. As we do this, come up to center. We're going to go to the right, up to center. Take that top rib, squeeze it towards the left hip, and then come up to center. Right rib squeezes towards the right hip, up to center. And we're going to go to the left and up, to the right and up. Very good. Left and up, right and up. We'll go to the left and return. Last one to the right. We'll come up, and then the very last one on the left side, back to center. We should feel a little bit like the upper arms and the shoulders maybe worked a little bit. Everything is getting worked in just a very small, simple movement. So now this is going to be a much more challenging movement. We're going to take the hands, place them over to the right. So one hand on the opposite or the outside of the leg and the left hand on the inside of the leg. And from here, the further back you are, the little easier it'll be. You might want to play with it. The further forward you are, a little more challenging. We're going to try to lift the right foot and the right leg up off of the mat. So wherever you're at, maybe you just feel like you're working and it's not even coming off of the mat, lifting and lower. But just that challenge of trying to activate the leg and lift it even a tiny amount, or maybe just feeling like you're working so hard. That's for 2. Go ahead, we'll lower it down. And we're going to try to lift again for 3 and lower, up for 4 and lower, and up for 5 and down. Super hard. You're working a lot into the quad. That leg is quite heavy. So if your foot and leg didn't even come off the mat whatsoever, but you felt like you were working very hard, you're still doing it. And over time, you will find a little bit of height. We're going to swing around and take that over to the left side, finding a good position for you. I like to have fingertips to the mat. And then we're going to lift and lower for 1, lift and lower for 2, lift and lower for 3, up and down for 4, up and down for 5. That's a lot of work. So now we're going to find our passive fold. We're going to turn towards the right, and we're going to actually fold over the top of that right leg. So from here, just allow ourselves once more to round. This is a passive fold. We're going to come back into our breath. You may feel like you worked a little bit doing those good mornings and those leg lifts. So maybe your breath is elevated. Let's try to bring that breath back to a nice, soft movement, filling up the body, and then exhaling the air, relaxing, slowing our pace back down as we find a more passive stretch. And again, you can be up much higher in your pose. You can also have the forearms to blocks, having one block on the outside or one on the inside. Once more, finding stillness as we come into a more yin-like posture. Maybe give a little check on your knees so that they're still opening and facing up, and maybe even a little bit towards the back of the room. And let's walk the hands all the way past center, coming over to the left side. So we're going to find that fold over onto the left. Reminding yourself that you can feel quite different from the left versus the right side. Maybe even sinking a little lower as we hang out here. Finding new depth as you give the body time to pause. And now we'll walk through center, and then we'll find our fold in center. Again, forearms can come to blocks. Maybe you don't even lower down. Maybe just having the legs open in a straddle is enough. And as we come in these passive poses, if your toes are pointed straight up, that's great. If you like to have more of a point, if that feels better, you feel your stretch in a different way in that way, that is fine as well. With care, start to walk the hands in, bring them in towards the body, and then you can start to bring the legs in, maybe use the hands for assistance. If the legs are a little tired out, we'll drop the knees, do a couple of windshield wipers, release the hips. Starting to feel pretty good into the back body. Wonderful. And from here, we're going to spin around so that we're facing the front of the mat once more. We'll grab our strap so that we have it nearby. We're going to come into some lying hamstring stretches. So go ahead and lower down onto your back. Moving down. And then we're going to go ahead and have the soles of the feet onto the floor. We'll keep the right knee bent to start with, and we're just going to find some nerve glides. So pull that left knee in, interlace the fingers behind the left knee, point the left toes, and then we're going to extend the left leg until you feel just a slight stretch on the back of the left leg. Nothing crazy here. We're just warming up. We'll flex the foot as we draw the foot down, point the foot, extend. Flex the foot, bring it down, point up towards the sky, flex and lower. Point, flex, bring it up, bring it down. Once more, up. And this time as we lower, we'll keep the foot flexed. Keeping that foot flexed, we'll extend once more, keeping the nerve under tension. And then we'll bend the knee, extend the knee, and bend. The foot is flexed the whole time. We're just moving through this posture, keeping the nerve now under tension with a flexed foot. We've already done a bit into the back of the legs. This helps the nerves glide into the back of the leg, through the whole back body. And from here, we're going to grab our strap. I'll see if I can grab my strap. There it is. Grab our strap and we'll loop it around the bottom of our left foot. And maybe you have nice long arms and you can just grab your foot. I like to have the strap. It's nice to have something here to hold on to. Plus, we're going to take some active movements here in this hamstring stretch. So try to keep the left foot flexed. Option, keeping the right leg bent, or you can straighten it out along the floor. And we'll just find our passive stretch, pulling that left leg into a comfortable stretch, keeping the leg nice and straight. Just pull it in with the weight of the arms. And now we're going to try to build into our mobility, make this a little more active. So you're going to have a firm grip onto that strap. And you're going to try to keep the foot from moving away from you, but you're going to press so hard into the strap like you're trying to kick your foot into the ceiling. Leg is still nice and straight. We're pushing into that strap, maybe feeling a little bit of tremor into the leg. Push here and hold for 5, 4, keep pushing, 3, 2, 1. Very good. Relax the back of the leg. We still have the hold on the strap, but maybe we can draw the foot in a little bit closer. Toes to nose, I like to think of it, so that you're bringing them in closer towards your nose. Finding our passive stretch, breathing here. Relaxing the rest of the body, softness throughout the face. Soften the space in between the eyebrows. And when you're ready, we're trying to keep that foot where it's at, but we're going to push super hard into our strap. Legs straight, pushing the foot away from you like you're trying to drive the foot up into the ceiling. Like you want to break that strap. Push and hold. Pushing for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very good. Go ahead and relax the leg, but maybe you can draw it in a little more closer. Still working. I know this is still a lot, even though this is a passive hold and we're not pushing the leg actively away from us, but you'll probably still feel a good shake on the leg. Hamstrings can get quite tight unless you've worked on these for years. And now we're going to change up the shape. So we still have that leg pulled in towards our face. We're going to try to keep the left hip connected towards or connected onto the mat, but we're going to cross the left leg over the right side of the body. It won't be a huge movement, especially since we're not allowing that left hip to kick up and lift up off of the mat. We want it to stay connected onto the mat because this is where you're going to really feel a stretch in the outside of that left leg. It can be quite intense. So the belly button should be facing up towards the ceiling. Hips are still squared and pointing towards the ceiling. We're crossing that left leg just slightly over the right. And then let's open it up. Keep a hold of that strap. We're going to take the left leg all the way out to the left, opening it up. You can secure the right hip to the mat, maybe press the right palm down as a reminder so that we don't want to roll the right hip up. And if you need a deeper stretch, just think about drawing that left foot up towards the top of the mat, maybe closer towards your head. Very slowly bring that left leg back in. One more time to bring it towards the face. And then let's bend the left knee. You can remove the strap and set the left foot down. We'll move to the opposite side. So finding those nerve glides on the right side. Both of the feet are flat on the mat to start with, and then we'll draw the right knee in, interlace those fingers, and point the right toes, extend the right foot. Flex as you get to the top and bring it down. Point as you lift, flex the foot as you draw it down, pointing up towards the ceiling, and then flex as you bend the knee. Point, extend, flex. Point, extend, flex, and draw it down. We'll do that 2 more times. And this time on the bottom, we'll keep the foot flexed and keep the nerve under tension as we straighten the right knee. Foot is flexed at the top and still flexed as we bring it down to the bottom. Lifting it up towards the sky, bringing it down. Extending the knee and bending the knee. Keep that foot flexed. Bringing the knee or the foot up until you feel a nice stretch onto the back of the leg. I actually feel my quad working a bit when I do this as well, so that's perfectly normal. It takes some work to extend that knee. We'll take one more and then bring it down. Grabbing our strap again, moving into that hamstring stretch where we have our active and our passive movements. We'll hook our strap onto the bottom of the right foot, keep the foot flexed, and then extend the right leg nice and long in front of you. And then option to maybe lower that left foot down or the left leg down onto the mat. So just seeing where you're at here on the right side, always my tougher side. We're going to pull the leg in, try to relax the upper body, use the weight of the upper arms to draw the toes to the nose. Very good. We're going to move into that active movement, so get that firm grip on your strap, and we'll try to push into the strap with our foot, pushing the right foot away from us, firing into the back of the leg. Feeling the back hamstring and the back calf. Make some effort here, like we're trying to kick back behind us. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then go ahead and relax the leg. Maybe you draw it in a tiny bit. Maybe you make a good amount of change on this side. Really, whether it's small, whether it's a big change, it's the amount of effort and the amount of practice that we put in that creates good changes in our mobility over time. Just holding here, find your breath. And when you're ready, we're going to come into that active pushing motion. Hold on to your strap nice and sturdy, and then start to push your foot into the strap, pushing it away. But you can see that there's no change in how the posture looks, although you should be feeling a lot of this into the back of the leg, pushing and holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and relax. Now we're going to find that crossover, so a reminder to keep the right hip planted in its position, but we're going to cross the leg over to the left. So the foot comes just slightly to the left side of the body. Still trying to keep a nice straight leg, but you should have a big stretch in the outside of that right leg. And then we'll slowly open the right leg to the right. I have my couch to challenge me here, so I'll only open up this far. You can take your left hand to your left hip so you remember not to topple over to the right. I'm going to make this a little harder on myself by pushing my foot down into the couch. It makes it much more challenging, trying to push the foot down towards the floor, towards the couch. Feeling the inside of the leg really light up and shake. And then bring that leg back to center one more time. Pull it in. And then go ahead and bend the right knee. You can release that. Set the strap aside. And then from here, let's draw the knees into the chest. We'll just go ahead and give ourselves a little squeeze. You can pull the head, neck, and shoulders up off of the mat. And then go ahead and lower down. We're going to take the hands and bring them both to the back of the knees. So you are pulling the knees into the chest right now. Hands are behind the knees, but we're going to separate the knees, open them up nice and wide. And now you're pulling the knees in more towards your armpits, almost like you're coming into a happy baby. You can even anchor the back of the arms down into the mat, trying to hold the legs in position there. But really, we just want to try to keep them pulled in, and also try to think about keeping the lower back and the tailbone connected to the mat. If you are lifted slightly, just think about that downward movement, trying to push the tailbone down towards the mat. Eventually, you'll get there. And from here, we're going to keep this position, pulling the knees in. And we're going to extend the left leg, flexing the left foot, bring it in. Extend the right leg, flex the right foot, bring it on in. Left foot extends, and then bends, and then to the right. Bring it in. We'll extend the left leg, moving to the right. We'll do 2 more on each side. Extend the left. Bring it in, and then extend the right. Bring it in. Last time on this side. And then we'll bring the right one out. Bring that in. Bring the knees together. Let's wrap the arms around the top of the shins. Squeeze everything. Bring the head, neck, and shoulders up off of the mat. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Like you're a tiny little ball of energy. And then release it down. Allow the head, neck, and shoulders to come down onto the mat. You can bring the feet down as well. And then from here, we'll just extend the legs out. Opening up the feet. Arms can come out to the sides, or maybe just gently resting the hands on top of your belly. We'll find our Shavasana. Enjoy this closing posture to sink into our mat. Enjoy that feeling in our back body, the openness we have into the back of our legs, into our hips and our lower back. You can feel the tingling energy running down our spine from our head all the way down our toes. Please feel free to stay in your Shavasana. Let the video run out. Just hang out here. Enjoy your space on your mat. If you're ready to release and to wake from your Shavasana, you can start to pull the feet in. Maybe roll onto your side. And if you're with me, we'll come to the center of our mat. Cross our legs and close our practice with one breath. Inhale the arms up, and then exhale the hands down through heart center to close our practice. Thanks for hanging out with me on my channel. Go ahead and follow me, subscribe for practices, so many practices on this channel to help you improve your mobility and to feel better. As always, have a great day. Make it a good one. Bye.